Can Africans and will Africans seize this moment? Hello, everyone. Welcome to Stream Dialogue. And this is more of an introductionary video. Today we'll talk about you know the new the emergence of the African revolutionaries, and can us Africans recognize the moment we're in? Can we take advantage of this moment? And what can we learn from the past to implement now? And what can we implement in the future so as not to fall into the trick our forefathers fell into um, during the first liberation struggle or second liberation struggle? Depends on the way you look at it. So, welcome to Stream Dialogue. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. It's time that our us as African, dialogue with each other, talk rather than listening to others, to tell our story and what's going on. It's time to do critical analysis and talk to each other. In 2023, July 2023, the Nigerian Revolution gained worldwide attention. Africans throughout the world were, you know, revitalized. You know, neocolonialism, neocolonialism was exposed. We saw the Nigerian people, overthrew the French, and the African Revolution gained uh, worldwide notoriety. But neocolonialism was exposed. A few years before that, we had Burkina Faso. Before that, we had Mali. But the French and the imperialists, I would say, we don't want to mention anyone for us to get censored before we even get started. But the imperialists try to play down the revolution in Africa, the Sahel, as this is just another coup. These are just other coups. It's what Africans do. But what we see that the revolution gain momentum, and will we see more Africans capitalize on this moment or take the moment? Not that we're in a rush or anything. We expect to see coup d'etat all over, but we expect to see, or we are actually seeing, that more Africans are raising their voice. They've realized that the system that have been sold to them for years, decades, is basically a new manifestation of colonialism, as Kwame Nkrumah, mentioned it is neocolonialism. So during the first liberation struggle, the 50s, 60s, even in the 40s, we saw that our revolutionaries, our freedom fighters who were fighting in the bush came out. And basically, most of them, they tried to be, you know, intellectual on the Western concept. And I think that was where us that was where we were defeated. We thought we could adapt Western systems. We didn't thought, but Western system were imposed on us. These little states like Togo, you know, whether it's Nigeria, Niger. These were states that are meant to fail, are meant not to, serve the interests of the African people. Whether it's in the Caribbean, I'm from the highland of Jamaica. It's like copy and paste. It's like copy and paste. It's the same thing. So, well, can we see? The question is, can we see Africans? Can Africans capitalize on this moment to, you know, take the revolution to a next level rather than, settling for what the imperialists imposed on us? When our freedom fighters and our, you know, revolutionary leaders try to compromise or adapt these systems, we end up getting stuck in a system that we that keep us enslaved. And this is not just our leaders; it goes to our intellectuals, our professors, our lawyers, doctors, teachers. It's our the neocolonial system or the colonial system is it's a system. You can take one side of it and then ignore the rest of it. Everything works together, whether it's your whichever type of government, if you have a senate, if you have a parliament, whatever it is, everything works together. So no one president can change the system or change the life of people, of our people. We see, if we see in the Sahel, we see a country like Senegal. It's been a year, and already don't want to go delve too much into this. We have to do a research, but you can see the system is doing its job. The system, first and foremost, is to keep revolutionary from being elected, which I think a politician can never be a revolutionary, because a politician is bred to serve the neo-colonial system and to serve the imperialists. So that's the first and foremost of the job of the politician, to serve himself, serve themselves. So the colonial system, the imperialist comes first, then comes the politician and his party. So imperialism, it is such a complex system that now us who are analysts, I like to call myself, rather than looking for elections and ways to get into government and think this person, that person need to be elected in these what I call neo-colonial states. I think it's time to revolu- to have a revolution. What does a revolution mean? You completely and totally dismantle the imperialist system. So make of that what you will. I'm not, it's the first video. We don't want to get censored before we even started, but you know, put two and two get together. You know what we're saying, and can us African manage to see the tricks that these imperialist system use? You know, everything that the imperialists created, whether it's a university, it's a you know think tank, NGOs, everything works together to feed the system, which is very, very parasitic to the people. Should always keep the people keep people in poverty, keep people impoverished and poor, you know. And poverty is not just you know physically, but mentally. Um, with this new wave of African revolution, we see coming up is to outdo the overthrow the whole system by throwing, you know, agricultural policy, throwing out educational policy, you know. The whole thing, if you look at the imperialist system, is very, very sophisticated. Like I mentioned, Senegal, as mentioned by, the prime minister, to saying like the system is very complex. And even if, someone who's elected who wants to do um, good for his people, again, with this system, is not necessarily the intention, but is the actual outcome. So you can intend good for your people, but the system is there to keep you, to just weed out whoever, or to make whoever wants to do good for his people fail. So the new African Renaissance and the revolutionaries that are coming up, I hope that people like us, we can support as well, do play our part during communication and analysis, without emotions, even though we can't get away from emotions sometimes, but we'll do our best not to get too emotional, in this. But the fight continues. One of the reasons the imperialists could not ignore the Nigerian revolution, the uprising in Nigeria, is not only because they had, you know, their their uranium was in threat, the cheap or free supply of uranium was in threat, but this was even bigger because one of the things that the imperialists mentioned is that they need to stop this thing that's moving like, you know, not in these words, but it's moving like lava. It's just consuming whatever, consuming the whole region. So imperialists, mobilized the whole imperialist system from ECOWAS down to the states, like in Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin. Everybody is playing their role, but still, they could not stop. I believe they haven't stopped the revolution, and I hope, you know, and I know that this will go further. But we see other things that are being done, which is why we've created this channel and this page. Wherever you're watching us, a lot of um, fake, messaging out there, whether it's in support. And I think this is deliberate. You will see videos that are supporting Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso, making these outlandish claim of things that are happening in Burkina Faso, which are not happening. This is a whole point by, I think by intelligence agency of the imperialists to, you know, to discredit the revolution and to discredit Ibrahim Traore. One of the things they say is that Ibrahim Traore's supporters, which I believe a lot of Africans don't just support, His Excellency, Head of State, Ibrahim Traore, but the actual revolution. Africans don't just love people in military uniform. You can see Mamadi Doumbouya in, even though he doesn't really wear a uniform anymore, he's trying to become a Democrat. And that was one of the biggest mistakes that our revolutionary leaders made. Those who became Democrats survived. Those who remain in their revolutionary spirit, um, you know, was neutralized. People like Thomas Sankara, uh, Patrice Lumumba. So we see like Maurice Bishop in the Caribbean, and not just neutralized physically. Some were overthrown, you know, some were put in exile. But I believe that us Africans, we've learned from the past. We are more informed. Hopefully, this is my hope. Um, of course, there's gonna be a lot of people who will go against, who look just like us. We saw Africans were outraged with the Langley guy who they call him a traitor, which I don't think he's a traitor. He served what he serves. He's a part of, he, he is not necessarily part of the system, but he plays his role in the system. So somebody else replaced him. Doesn't look like, somebody of African descent, but they play the same role. It's just that it won't be as loud. Africans won't see it as, oh gosh, this guy is coming against us. But they're playing the same role. They're trying to destabilize Africa, to balkanize it. We in the diaspora or wherever we are, we have to, support the revolution in whichever way we can. We're not breaking any laws. We're working honestly here, but that's not the point. But the struggle continues. This is an introduction video, and I hope you know you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel and so forth. But anyway, I didn't want to make this video long. Hope you subscribe to my YouTube channel. We'll talk, we analyze. There's a lot of fake news out there. There's a lot of just information bombarding you. You don't know what to be sure to subscribe, like this video, share it, leave a comment or something. Thank you very much.